ワールドキング漢字 on YouTube.
Today I've got a really interesting video because this is something I'm going to be posing a question to various different YouTubers, and at the moment I've got MJ with me. We've already been talking about this before we started recording, so hit quick late to start with the recording just so we can carry on from what we've been saying. But basically guys, in this video we're looking at the worst things that the movie could possibly do to the storyline thus far. We've already had something with each of these movies or each of these arcs where with every little bit of excitement we get given, we also get given something that usually pisses us all off. So we've had retcons like Beerus giving Frieza the order to destroy Planet Vegeta, which made little to no sense. We've had the Super Saiyan gods explaining turning Super Saiyan turns their hair blue when they've got Divine Ki, and then continuing to transform into regular golden-haired Super Saiyans in the following arc. Frieza wanted a power level of 1.3 million, although exceeding that pretty much a long time ago. We've had Bulma giving a controversial age reveal at a boat birthday party, and all these various different things. The list goes on. But MJ, I'm going to ask you now. What do you think the movie could do that would infuriate yourself and the fandom?
All right, so this is something I saw as like a joke, and we were talking about it in my Discord server, and this is something that I think I would personally not like, even though it would be kind of funny. I wouldn't like it for the overall narrative of the story, and that is if in the first few minutes of this film, they do a scenario where Frieza meets up with this Saiyan, or the Saiyan encounters Frieza, and then the Saiyan like one-shots him. And just destroys him. And the reason why I say that is because you're a wrestling fan. You know what that is.
Yeah.
That's 101 booking. Putting him over. But I would not like that, because even though, yes, I understand Frieza's come back so many times, it does get kind of boring. At least you still have to look at it from the narrative point of view. They can't waste him, at least in my opinion, because of all the built up they did with him in this tournament, and him actually being a key character to actually help win the Tournament of Power. For him to get like one-shotted in the first couple of minutes of this film to put over the movie, and just for Frieza to just go back to hell like that, that's something that would kind of really irk me, because it would feel like everything we saw was a waste with his character. And I think they could do a lot more in a future movie or in a future series if Super does come back. Most likely will. I mean, we all know Super makes a lot of money. But my point is here, that's something that would kind of really irk me, bro. I don't know what you have to say about that, but that's something I've seen thrown around, and I would not like that.
Yeah, I mean, I have to agree with you, because it is a possibility. It is always a possibility. I mean, they did it once already, after Namek, when they brought Mecha Frieza in, he got pretty much one-shotted by Trunks to put Trunks over. And so they've done it before. What's to stop them from doing it again? And realistically, I mean, it's the type of joke that Toriyama would like to play. It is the type of thing he would like to do to try and get everyone's hopes up and stuff. He had everybody saying, oh, you guys are going to be surprised by the end of the tournament and everything like this. You're going to keep getting interested in everything we're going to be throwing at you. And rightly so, it was interesting. But there was a part of me that thought all along Frieza's going to get one-shotted. And look, okay, so I'll put it this way. As far as that's concerned, I've got the DVDs set up under my TV just so I can watch the final episodes of Z for at least once, thinking whilst I watch it, wow, Frieza's alive during this. That's the only that I've set up under my TV, and I haven't moved it because I'm prepared to watch it. Because that's the glory of retcons. They can change your perspective when you watch something. And that's the glory of them, but it's also the downpour. Because now every time I watch the Frieza arc, I'm there thinking he's not as horrible as I thought he was originally, because Beerus apparently told him to blow up Planet Vegeta, which is bollocks. Excuse me. But yeah, so something I'm afraid of the movie doing is, okay, so talking about Super Saiyans and all this kind of stuff, we've already had the teasing green glow from them all in the trailer, and oh man, so one thing I was really happy about when they introduced Kale was they introduced her form as a Berserk form. They did not use the phrase Legendary Super Saiyan. Because that always bothered me, because, of course, the original Super Saiyan form is the Legendary Super Saiyan form. It makes no sense that Broly's form would be called the Legendary Super Saiyan form. They only knew of one, and Vegeta was very adamant that they only knew of it being able to be sustained in the Uzari transformation. So for him to already know of a Broly transformation, that's the Legendary Super Saiyan. Oh, it makes no sense. And I'm afraid of them following the same path again. Because they already kind of did it when they introduced Super Saiyan God. Because at least Vegeta didn't know about that. And at least I had to summon Shenron to tell them about that. But it's something that bothers me, you know?
It would feel like a rehash because I feel like if they try to go this whole legendary route, like not only is it going to diminish what we already know of Broly, like the one good characteristic of Broly that is that he's supposed to be that alpha male, predator, apex predator, excuse me, where he wants to go out of his way to show his dominance, which is why he kills people like who are like his friends and relatives because he wants to show he's at the top. And that is like one of his only cool qualities, at least from movie 8s, and they would just be diminishing that, and then the idea of the guy, like, I really would hate if they try to introduce a whole new entire Saiyan legend, or they try to go that whole, oh, he's a legendary Super Saiyan, or that's the original Saiyan form. It's like, there's so many original Saiyan forms already. It's kind of like,
and how does Vegeta know them all?
Exactly. And if you really want to go more in depth and get technical with this, some people even refer to SSJ4 as like the original primate form. So it's like, there's, it would be just kind of like a rehash, and I would really be tired of it. I would not like it.
I'll be honest,
you know what I mean?
That was the thing I liked about Ultra Instinct, was the fact for once it wasn't a Saiyan exclusive transformation. It was just, that was just the way it was. It was like unlocking this sense of instinctual notions of being able to tell when things were going to happen and all this kind of stuff. And it made it was a really nice change of pace. Because I didn't really mind Goku getting it, because I just thought, well, at least he's not just getting a new Saiyan thing. At least I believe anybody could have got this, but because Goku's so good, he got it himself. The thing is, if they do something where they try and do some Saiyan origin transformation stuff again, if they do that with this guy, unless it's Yamoshi, which has already been kind of teased,
yeah,
I wouldn't necessarily buy into it, because he seems to be glowing green anyway. And it's kind of like, I don't want another Super Saiyan color. I don't want a Power Rangers cast of Super Saiyans. I just want, I didn't mind it when they were all golden haired back in Dragon Ball Z, because it was like, okay, well, excuse me, but it didn't feel as cheesy. It suddenly felt like they were aiming it at children, sort of like, hey, look at all these characters, they've got the same colour hair as fruit pastels and all this kind of stuff. And I was just, I don't know, Super has really tried to incorporate the rainbow into Dragon Ball Z. And to have a Super Saiyan God, but kind of be like, okay, well, this one's green. We already had Kefla, we already had Kale. I'm done with, we've had Broly, I'm done with the colour green.
I'm trying to think of like what else they could really do that would really, I guess, cause a riot in the fandom. I mean, I don't want to use the word riot, but cause like an uproar. Yeah. I'm trying to think of what they could possibly do. I really don't have any ideas right now, other than what we talked about before. And me and you were discussing off air that the one thing the fandom doesn't want them to do is a Broly rehash from Second Coming, which we kind of already talked about with the legendary Super Saiyan. But for those who don't remember, in Second Coming, when Broly landed, he was stuck in ice, and then that's how he was, I guess, preserved until he was awoken. Here, it looks like people are presuming, predicting that the reason why they're in this Iceland area is because the Saiyan has been like on Earth or whatever for all these years, and he's been frozen. It's whatever. It's for me, I don't think I would hate that as much as the first two we talked about, but it is definitely one of those things where it's like a Majin Buu situation where it's like, okay, he's conveniently been on Earth for all these years. It's like,
I mean, the other things that they could possibly do, with which I wouldn't be too pleased about hearing, is what I also talked to you about before we started recording, was, people have always been afraid, and they've been terrified of the dream sequence ending. People are just terrified of that. And I don't think they're going to do it, because I think had they done it, they would have done it by now. I don't think that they're going to do the whole, okay, well, let's just pretend this didn't happen and go back in time kind of thing. I really think that because they're so aware... Oh, for God's sake, are you kidding me? Sorry.
That's fine.
Sorry, my missus picked it up. I really don't think that they're going to do something that goes along the lines to that, simply because I've lost my train of thought.
You were talking about what you said earlier before off air.
Oh, which bit? Dream sequence, yeah.
There you
go. So what they would have done is, sort of just kind of got rid of everything and said, okay, well, that didn't happen, or we're just going to conveniently wipe their minds so they don't have to think about it anymore, etc. I don't think they're going to do that. The other thing I'm afraid of them doing, though, which is some kind of, I don't know, it's a niche idea, but we've already had Goku Black. this could be another version of Goku himself, where he's fighting his I don't want to say battling his demons, but battling the things in his head that's holding him back. And then later on we find out that this is actually happening whilst he's in the Spirit Bomb during the Tournament of Power. And this person might be somebody he fights each time mentally when he's discovering Ultra Instinct. Because we found out that this film is supposed to be following Super straight away, you know, according to what Toriyama has said. So it's supposed to be going along the continuity of that. What I don't really understand necessarily is how we're just going to kind of forget everything and just go back to Earth. You know, and then just start a new adventure. It's just, you know, it's like boiling the kettle and waiting until it's cooled down and then putting cold water on your coffee beans. It just doesn't really make a whole lot of excitement. We've already had Jiren. How are you supposed to make somebody who's more threatening? You know?
Well, now that you brought that up, this kind of ties into my last point that I have that I can think of. And this is kind of something that's been with Super for a while. I know a lot of people have complained about it, like Real to Real and Danny and stuff. And that's the no stakes. The fact that he can't trigger Ultra Instinct anymore, at least unless he gets pushed to his limit, but he can't just bring it out. I hope they don't do a thing where, okay, since Goku can't use Ultra Instinct and Blue is his peak form now, and Beerus is stronger than him. I hope they don't do a scenario where this guy is just beating Vegeta Blue and Goku's Blue's ass, and then Beerus comes out of nowhere and just Hakai's him. Which is basically the no stake issue where the gods can just come in and clean up the Saiyans' mess. I really hope that doesn't happen, and it kind of happened in ROF with Whis helping them.
It definitely happened in ROF.
Yeah, it happened in ROF. I don't want it to happen here where, like, supposedly Goku Blue's not enough for him, and then, you know, Beerus comes in and saves the day or something, you know?
Yeah, well, I mean, ROF was ruined for me halfway through the film. As soon as Frieza began to cower to Beerus, and Beerus was kind of like, as long as you don't fire one of those ki blasts my way, then you don't have anything to worry about, kind of thing. As soon as that had happened, and Frieza was, like, you know, wetting himself at the sight of Beerus, the film was ruined. Because how am I supposed to be scared of Frieza? How am I supposed to be scared for Goku fighting Frieza if Frieza is scared of Beerus and they're on his side? It's kind of like fighting... It's like, I don't know, it's like watching Brock Lesnar take on Nicholas. From you know, it's not a threat. Just because Nicholas might be a bit of an asshole or something like that. I'm not saying he is. I haven't heard anything. Although, you know, stories, rumors. But anyway, you know, I'm not going to believe that he could be a threat if Brock Lesnar isn't scared of him.
That's a good analogy. I agree with that because that's something that Super has been plagued with, and the fact that Ultra Instinct is not a thing anymore, I guess at least... there's been ideas. People are saying we are going to see it in the movie. People are saying we aren't. I guess it really isn't the video to talk about it, but
yeah.
The fact of the matter is, supposedly Goku can't call upon the form at will, and if they try to do that whole thing where he gets beaten down in his blue form and then Beerus saves the day, that's gonna be a pretty big mood killer, and I hope they don't do it because they're hyping this up as the 20th anniversary and it's the best film, the best DB film, you know, so at least the best looking. So I hope they don't go that route, bro. I
could just imagine it kind of being like you get to the end of the film and they're like, Earth had Goku and Beerus. So, you know, it's kind of like just does away with the entire build-up tagline of the movie.
Oh my gosh, man.
But anyway, man, thank you for joining me on this video. It's not a fun topic to talk about because all it does is make you worried about the movie coming out, but it is amusing to think about. And for the people that want to stay wise and, you know, keep your hopes up and stuff about the film, do keep your hopes up. I'm sure it'll be amazing. But just for this, I'm not saying this because I care about you all, but just hold a little bit in reserve, just in case. But anyway, guys, if you haven't already, go and check out MJ's channel. He does daily content. It's always amazing content as well. He doesn't skimp on any of it. And even since Dragon Ball Super's ended, just because you'd think that he'd have less to talk about, that's completely wrong. He's still got plenty to talk about. So go over, subscribe, say hi from World King Kanji's channel. Let him see how many people he might actually get appear on his channel because of me. Alright guys, cheers for watching and we'll catch you all in the next video. Bye!